clearly Messi, Mbappe, Haaland have all showed up to the party. Is one Cristiano Ronaldo going to show up to this party?
And he came through quite nicely. I'd still like to see Ryan Cherki getting involved in the game as well. But like you mentioned, France have got that extra gear, and Mbappe is on a mission. And no doubt he is eventually going to take over that World Cup goal scorers record.
Welcome to the Dugout with me is Amit Khwaja from the UAE. I'm Saudi Raza here in Texas. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful, just enjoying the World Cup action. Find that the big stars are showing up with big performances, goals are pouring in. So this World Cup in its second week is heating up quite nicely, Doc.
Absolutely. There's a very famous song from Katy Perry, Party in the USA, hopped off the ground at LAX. Clearly Messi, Mbappe, Haaland have all showed up to the party. Is one Cristiano Ronaldo going to show up to this party?
Well, if he doesn't show up against Uzbekistan, then I'm not looking, his chances are not looking good. There should certainly be a stat pad session, as we like to say in cricketing parlance, this evening. That is for sure. They need it desperately.
This is its chance to become a Zimbabwe, as they say in cricket. Let's touch upon Messi. To me, this is the week he turns 39. You watch that Argentina Austria game here, of course, in Dallas, where the Argentinian fans have taken over because they also play on Saturday. And there were moments in this game where he's just gliding across the pitch. It is amazing how this player, who basically at the tail end of his PSG career, the PSG fans were ready for him to go. PSG was ready, but he has rejuvenated himself in Miami. Obviously, it allowed him to basically take a step back from the fishbowl. He can live in anonymity, focus on himself, family, and rest up for these key moments. Rodrigo De Paul, you see another Inter Miami player. Forget the missed penalty. He's for some reason, despite being probably the greatest player of all time, is a very average penalty taker. But both of his goals were extremely well taken, and the second goal was just, is amazing to watch. Your thoughts on this are, I hate to say the word revitalized Messi, but it is a revitalized Messi because I think people thought that the 2022 World Cup was his last World Cup.
Honestly, Doc, he's playing better than ever. The problem is that the team surrounding him is quite weak. It's basically Messi and four or five central midfielders, and there's no width whatsoever. That is one thing that was very apparent for Argentina. They were surrounding him with both basically four center mids, and then there were the strikers, of course. Lautaro going down in the penalty, like you mentioned, he missed, and you could see that Austria were pretty effective for the most part in creating two blocks of four and really clogging up the center of the pitch. And it was a physical, scrappy game. So that is the problem I'm seeing. They're missing Angel Di Maria very, very poorly because he was able to stretch the pitch and be the Robin to the Batman that is Lionel Messi. But Messi, the man, he's playing better than ever. He's still got that quick step. He's got that physicality. He's able to shrug off tackles. And when it's on his left foot, he's got a decent look. The dude's not gonna miss.
But I see, I think you bring up a good point that when he gets into the knockout stages, a manager with a little bit more technical nous, a midfield with a little bit more brawn to them will be able to neutralize him. You look at the way Jose's Inter Miami team neutralized Messi's peak heyday Barcelona team in a very similar way. You basically cramp the midfield, crowd out Messi, and when you don't have width, there's not many places to go. It'll be interesting to see how Argentina adjusts if they do. Let's come to, of course, the guy just behind Messi and the person who will probably take over this goal scoring record. One, Kylian Mbappe. France had a wonderful 3-0 victory over Iraq yesterday. We talked in Philadelphia. We spoke about this after France's first game. They have a gear that other teams just don't have. And, the two goals from Mbappe, especially the one from his left foot, which was just a blistering strike. And despite there being a 2 hour lightning delay, they comfortably came out and dispatched Iraq with a third goal as well from Dembele. This is a scary looking France team. And unlike in other tournaments where they may have started off slow, they have started off this World Cup with a bang.
And I like the midfield combination that Didier Deschamps unleashed. Manu Kone, the Roma central midfielder, he offers a lot more dynamism as compared to Chouameni. And that combination, he was a real live wire, and he was doing that bit of playmaking, that bit of extra playmaking that perhaps France needed. Desiree Doué got benched. I thought that was a bit harsh because he was running relentlessly in that first game against Senegal, where they got the goals. They backed Ousmane Dembele, who had a poor first game in my opinion, and he came through quite nicely. I'd still like to see Ryan Cherki getting involved in the game as well, but like you mentioned, France have got that extra gear, and Mbappe is on a mission, and no doubt he is eventually going to take over that World Cup goal scorers record, and the kind of gap he's going to create over the next 8, maybe 12 years, he might prove to be absolutely untouchable.
And this is where Deschamps, being a manager for such a long time, probably knows his team. Tchouaméni, of course, in the news for a lot. There's all sorts of transfer rumors about him. Maybe he's a little unsettled, but it was an inspired decision from Deschamps to bring on Kone. Let's talk about the game of the day yesterday. Norway-Senegal, just a fantastic end to the game. Holland, of course, 2 goals again. He's metronomic when it comes in, but Senegal really proved that they're a good team. Although you could say that they're a moments team. Clearly, those two brilliant goals, and then not enough from them, but they have the ability to basically score goals at the drop of a hat.
The problem is they've got 2 losses, so pretty much their World Cup campaign, unfortunately, is over. Critical error at the back from Koulibaly, of all people, to gift the first goal. But what really like to see is that Norway's got a lot of juice, man, with Odegaard, with Nusa, with Sorloth, who's a bit of a lumbering number 9. He's looked a bit at sea playing at that right wing position because Erling Haaland has to go down the middle. But the way Erling Haaland has come out with a point to prove at the World Cup, we thought, will Norway do something? They've looked really, really sharp. They've got good pace. They create those chances and they put a lot of pressure on Senegal. And those 2 goals Erling Haaland took just on the turn of the second half really settled affairs, even though Senegal fought till the bitter end. But he really turned in all the big Viking, and Norway, serious dark horses to make a deep run in the
Yep.
tournament, no doubt.
Absolutely, and I think Norway could play England in the latter stages. They've been impressive, and their fans are sort of carrying them as well. You know, they're doing the Viking rowing movements. You see them all over town. It's truly they've helped the World Cup come alive. The last game, of course, yesterday, Algeria beating Jordan. Let's come to today's game. We touched upon briefly about the match in Houston, Portugal, Uzbekistan. To me, I think you have to start Cristiano because you got to try and get him going. I think at this point, 1 game in, it's too soon to bring him on as an impact sub. But I think if they struggle today, he doesn't score again. It's something that Roberto Martinez will have to consider at least before the third game. They're fortunate that their group is wide open, so they should still qualify. But they need to basically put on a showing against Uzbekistan.
The issue is that Roberto Martinez himself is a massive part of the problem. He has not found a functioning way with so much attacking quality. You have arguably the best midfield trio in the world in their prime, and they can't pry open teams at all. Ronaldo is shifting to the left flank as he always does. He's trying to make those runs in the middle. He's being starved of service. And with the likes of Joao Neves, Vitinha, and Bruno Fernandes, you can't cook, you can't make things happen, and you've got proper wing forwards as well. Bernardo had a poor game. I think he will bounce back today. You've got Rafa Leao, you've got Chico Conceição, and you still can't have a competent attacking unit that goes a lot to point towards Roberto Martinez. He's already announced that he's not going to be renewing with Portugal for the future. I think that was definitely on the cards. There is a bit of a last dance sort of feel to this tournament for Portugal, but with the kind of the plethora of resources he has available, they should be playing a lot better. Maybe they'll get themselves going this evening against the Uzbeks and maybe make a deep run. Eventually, there is going to be that Messi v Ronaldo face off in the knockout stage if all goes according to plan. And that's
A
going to be
potential
something insane. Yeah.
quarterfinal in Kansas City, where probably the only guy who has a definite ticket is Patrick Mahomes. But one other thing, this is not Roberto Martinez's first crime. This He's also the manager who basically wasted prime Eden Hazard, prime Kevin De Bruyne, Victor Kompany, Romelu Lukaku, that Belgian Joe golden generation, which for a small country like Belgium may never happen again. And he basically won nothing with them. I don't know why he continues to get these top tier managerial jobs, but hopefully this is the last one
I think
because
Todd France might be his agent or something.
I mean, it's amazing. Let's come to England, Ghana in Boston. Again, England very impressive in their first game here up in Dallas. Harry Kane already on 2 goals. He will want to keep pace with the Golden Boot winners. Ghana probably lambs to the slaughter. I think this is that classic game, and you've seen World Cups where England sort of scrapes away a 1-0 victory. I hope to see them continue to put the foot on the gas. It'll be interesting to see whether they drop concert for Mark Gahey because they leaked in a couple goals last night. It'll be interesting to see if they keep Rashford on the bench and drop Morgan Rogers. What are you looking for in this England Ghana game?
Well, it's still Bukayo Saka. There is a bit of a cloud over his fitness, so certainly does seem like Madueke will continue.
Yep.
Anthony Gordon was a bit, a bit absent in the first game. So, like you mentioned, maybe Marcus Rashford on the back of that goal will perhaps get the starting berth. But the problem is, even Rashford, he likes the ball to feet. He's not going to really run into the gaps and really stretch the pitch. So, remains to be seen what Thomas Tuchel does. Overall, things are looking in good order. Like you mentioned, they leaked a few goals, but one of the goals from the Croats was absolutely phenomenal. Mark Guehi, we've seen he was outstanding in the Euros and he has been the number one choice. John Stones was okay, not bad. So, certainly is an interesting game. And if England can replicate that 20-25 minute passage that they played after halftime against Croatia,
Yep.
then they might knock Ghana off the pitch because that was some of the most incredible football I've ever seen England play at a World Cup.
Yeah, that first 25 minutes or so in the second half was absolutely fantastic. I mean, they could have easily scored five, six, seven past Croatia as a goalkeeper, basically. And the other thing that's very dangerous about England, they've taken this Arsenal recipe for set pieces, and their corners are absolutely every time they get a set piece or a corner, they're a threat. Whether it's Declan Rice, of course, delivering the ball, Harry Kane, he was the one goal he scored. He was, of course, unmarked, but in the second half,
Criminal marking on that one.
even in the second half where he had that headed shot that the goalie saved, it was again fantastic play within in the corner to get free. So England has many ways to score.
And more
Any
importantly, Jude Bellingham has seemed to be in inspired form. It's interesting to see that the guys who were slightly sluggish for Real Madrid have really come to the fore in this World Cup with Mbappe and Jude Bellingham. And if Jude plays the way he does, he's sort of the silent leader of this England side as well. Of course, it's how Harry Kane goes, but Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham, that combination, when they're on their A game, then the three lions are very difficult to stop.
But it shows you that when you have managerial strife in your club, and the club seasons are long, it's very hard for players to basically raise their level. You saw that with Manchester United when they had Ruben Amorim. These players just weren't doing it. He left, and Bruno, of course, had a season for all seasons. There was an uptick in form in Cunha, something he's continued with Brazil. Casemiro had an uptick in form. He's continued that. He's now playing for Brazil, which was, unheard of at the start. So these things happen. And of course, Real Madrid went through three different managers to start off with someone, they finished with somebody, and now you have Jose walking through those doors. It'll be interesting to see what happened. Anything else you're looking out for today, Izzy?
Just expecting Ronaldo to put on a decent show, and we'll be keeping a close eye on England. Are they the real deal? Was it a false dawn against the Croats, who are an aging side with not a lot of talent? Remains to be seen. But Ghana, of course, coming off a victory in their own game as well. So they're going to be a tough, physical, pacey side. They like to hit in transition on the counter. So maybe that backline could get a bit exposed with the likes of Reece James is decent, but Nico O'Reilly is still young. The City left back, maybe that could be a bit of a pressure point for the Ghanaians. So certainly is going to be a terrific game.
To me, England is the real deal. The problem England have is there's a lot of other real deal teams. You look at Germany, you look at France, Argentina, maybe not Argentina as
Spain with a
much.
pretty good performance as
Spain,
well.
I was surprised. Spain, basically, that Cape Verde might be better than we thought. And that number nine position, they seem to have sorted out. There's a lot of teams. You look at a Norway, there's
Mm.
a lot of very good,
Morocco.
solid. Correct. A lot of solid teams that if you catch them in a knockout game and you have an off day, these refs haven't been afraid to call red cards, haven't been
Yeah.
afraid to basically give penalties. Um, Things could go sideways for you very quickly because the gap between that upper echelon and let's say that upper middle class echelon is small.
And we just saw that rout of Netherlands versus Sweden. Graham Potter with an absolute disaster class. Sweden, I've never seen a Swedish team so disorganized, so shambolic, and the Netherlands absolutely tore them apart. A very, very embarrassing show for the Swedes, even though they started off the tournament really well with that commanding performance. And now they're looking in the rearview mirror. And well, the Dutchman, the Oranje, very impressive showing. I think they got that starting combination right as well with Bobby or Bobby, whatever his name is. He wasn't even a consideration for Sunderland for the most part, but he
Yep,
shows up
and
with a brace at the World Cup. Brilliant.
Robbie, of course, was the player that Eric Ten Hag wanted to bring to Manchester United, but everyone was like, enough Dutch players. But you mentioned the Dutch. We didn't even mention them. That's another team that's probably one World Cup ahead of their time. Cody Gakpo in wonderful form in Sweden to go from scoring five to letting in five. Again, we bring up managers. I don't know what Graham Potter has done to deserve a Swedish
Stealing a living, this guy,
managerial
man.
managerial job. It's interesting. Let's see what happened. But the Dutch, of course, another team that anything could happen.
And
But
finally,
they'll
the
be
Brazilians also
uh,
showing up at the World Cup with a comfortable
yeah,
victory. It's Vinicius, and I think starting Cunha, that was a very good move.
yeah.
Igor Thiago is a bit of a log up front. Cunha offers you some dynamism, some movement, something similar to what perhaps Neymar could have given you. It looks very, very unlikely he's going to be anything but a cheerleader in this World Cup. So Brazil with a convincing show. Should have been a lot more goals, to be honest, but still a bit, it's in the middle. Not sure how they're going to do in this World Cup, but they seem to have found some rhythm.
The one other intangible that Cunha has is that over a Thiago is that Cunha, having played for Manchester United, understands the pressure of the shirt. And I think that helps him. He scored big goals against Arsenal, of course. He scored big goals here because his goal really settled Brazil down. Of course, the next round of matches will start tomorrow. We'll continue to follow. We'll continue to bring you live coverage. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, AZ. Thank you, viewers. Please like and subscribe. Follow us daily as we continue to bring you World Cup coverage.